Hey, this is Blanco Gamer, and I'm here with something a little different. I recently got a PM from an independent game studio called Martian Media Incorporated, who are apparently fans of my videos, which I kind of find hard to believe that, I even have fans to begin with, but I digress. Anyway, in the PM they asked me if I could help support their game that they're working on, as well as their Kickstarter for it. Which I actually find kind of odd that they asked me to review it under my Black Sheep Game Reviews, because it's not really the type of game I review for that show, and also it's actually a demo of the game that they wanted to send me, so I can't really exactly review a demo. But regardless, I said I could still make a video for it in more of a playthrough style like my I Feel Like Playing videos, and they agreed and they sent me the demo. The game is called Waking Amy, in which you play a girl who went into a coma from a car accident, and you basically play out through her dreams and actually be able to do stuff like be able to transform into different versions of herself, and it's actually a very interesting idea and premise behind it. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is that this is an independent game made by about 4 people or so, and that it's going to be a little bit rough around the edges because it's something that they've made for their Kickstarter to promote. Their Kickstarter goal is at a modest around $10,000, and right now it's about just under $3,000. So, and it's going to be funded for the rest of this month. So they're already at a pretty good, decent start here for their Kickstarter. And because it's an alpha build and not obviously a finished game, there's going to be some parts where I might criticize the game, but of course it might be addressed later on in the full game. The best way I can describe this game is that it's kind of like one of those Xbox Live indie games, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Because while there is limitations, you have to keep in mind that it's an indie game, it's an alpha, and I do still like the premise and ideas behind it, otherwise I wouldn't even, really bother with this type of game to begin with. So without further ado, I'll stop rambling and get the game started. Alright, so here is the Waking Amy demo launcher. Right now you can only play it in 1280 by 720 and only adjust the quality option. I have it on lower because my computer's not exactly the most powerful, even for like lower end indie games like these. Because even at like higher qualities, there are some moments where the game can like lag weirdly enough for me, but I'll get into that later. But right now, you can only play it in window mode or full screen. I'm playing in window mode so I can actually capture the game. And this little intro here shows what happens to Amy after some slow camera panning. And that is Amy, our main character. Now, regardless of the quality options I set, there is actually some issue, I think, with the intro where the dialogue is delayed. Like here you see Amy's mother talking, but...
Amy, you should try getting out of your head sometimes.
yeah, and the game's sort of like hanging there. I'm not sure if it's my computer or if it's because it's an alpha, but...
Nah.
But in any case, this is the only time where the game sort of has that issue for me. Like, on the higher qualities, I've noticed that later cutscenes have that same problem, but on this quality setting I have now, they seem fine. But this cutscene always seems to have that issue regardless for me. And yes, Amy imagining those animals is kind of foreshadowing the main gameplay mechanic that's going to be later on. Meanwhile, with cops... and this is actually the credit sequence. Once the... yeah, there's the names. Like I said earlier, it's only 4 people, but it's still a neat little credit sequence involving the car chase. I think it's loading or something. Again, like I said, a few little things they still need to iron out, because, well, it's an alpha. And, oh, going through the skull. Ah. And yeah, I actually did play this before, just to get some practice in it, and so I can record it and then comment on it. And yeah, that car crash is what happens, and now Amy's in a coma. And this is our main menu. All we can do is just start or quit the game, so let's obviously start. And I assume this is the car crash and Amy's, I guess, getting out of the car, even though that's not what you're really supposed to do. I would imagine you're in a natural car crash, but or it's all pretty much just a dream sequence anyway. So, and here we are in the actual game. Now, as of right now in this alpha demo, there isn't much you can do, and yeah, I've set my controls here. Dash and the up and downs don't seem to do anything right now, and you have some other settings, but they're obviously not there yet. And even though there are options in the launcher to set up a USB controller, you can't use a USB controller. I can't use my USB Wingman Persistent Controller, and yeah, and I already died. That was just to mostly demonstrate what happens when you die. It's just one of those games where you just go again from a checkpoint, and yeah, of course, once I demonstrate dying, I keep dying. It's a pretty basic platformer. The only thing is that it's a little floaty in how you move, because you move pretty fast, and the jumping's just a tad floaty, but that's obviously something they can work on as they go towards the full game. And once we go through that building, we're now on a blimp, and go across these buildings, and you can actually go on these scaffoldings on the left here, as part of like the, I guess, level geometry, but yeah, that didn't really seem to help me there, because it is possible to get on the top of that fire escape and then just keep going. But anyway, let's just keep moving, and we now have these lights, which is actually a pretty simple area puzzle, level puzzle. You just gotta jump on the things that make them all green. And now we're here. And this guy, his name I think is in the concept art for the Kickstarter. I forget his name, but he is going to be a prominent character, I'm going to guess. And that spotlight is kind of odd there, especially when you jump, but whatever.
Amy will be monitored with the world's most up-to-date advanced medical technology. I see you've noticed my machine over here. I invented this very machine here to communicate with the sleeper's subconscious experience, all while closely monitoring the results. In every trial, I've been able to interact with and awaken the target sleeper. If you sign here, with your permission, together, we can wake Amy.
Trailer line.
Why don't you give it a try? Just go ahead up there, push the button on the right, and say whatever you want.
Amy, can you hear me?
So yeah, basically this Dr. Klopp's made a device so he can actually monitor and even communicate with Amy in the subconscious level. And this introduces one of the main things about this game, is that Amy takes on different forms in different dream sequences, such as this jellyfish Amy, or Jelly Amy in this case. And this is where the game actually gets pretty interesting, because we're now a different version of Amy, and this version of Amy has just a basic attack. And you can destroy these boxes and get these gems, but this is the only time you can even get these, and they don't do anything in this alpha demo. I assume in the full game they're going to count towards like collectibles or score or something. And those blowfish, they act as like boos from Mario Brothers, so you just do that to get past them. And we already meet our villain here, which is a Merclops, I believe. And now we have to fight a gauntlet of enemies. And sorry, but I can't help but crack up at these guys, especially at their sounds they make when you hit them. And especially there. Sorry. But yeah, so when you attack, you have a blue mirror that builds up, and that is quite some slowdown when you do that jump attack at him. But in any case, you build up an attack meter, and when it's full, you do a more powerful attack, which actually helps knock these guys down. So the combat is pretty simplistic, I'll admit, but it works. I mean, there is some initiative to not just keep mashing. I mean, you gotta like avoid their attacks, so it's So it's all there, and oh yeah, and Amy will sometimes say something when you finish an enemy off. And we gotta wait for these guys to come up. Yeah, get them both here. Yeah, sorry, I can't help but crack up at the voices or sounds these guys make. And the graphics sort of glitched out for him there a little bit. Whatever, alpha build. Get these giant Gameras with boards with nails in them. There we go. And of course, once we defeat the enemies, the way opens and we can keep going. And there's nothing really here except to kind of... Okay, that was odd, but yeah, whatever. So now we have some more platforming, which, like I said, isn't really that bad, but there are times when it's just a tad floaty, and there are a couple times when I sort of, because of the way you move, you kind of run off the cliff before you can jump. That can happen now and then, but it isn't terrible. And now we have to fight this starfish pirate guy, and you have to do a special attack to send him back and destroy the ship. Otherwise, he'll just block your attack, so you gotta slide into him and then do a super attack. So now we have some more platforming, which actually introduces what else Jelly Amy can do is, by holding the corresponding direction on a wall, you can actually grab onto it and keep jumping up it. So we just do that and jump on these Super Mario Brothers 2 logs, or waterfall logs. And the game kind of slows down a little here for me because, I guess, just because of everything that's going on with like the water and the logs and the... Now this part is a little tricky because you have to like... Basically you just have to go all the way to the right, and you want to get some good height and try and make it across all those logs. The only thing is that sometimes the jumping isn't exactly the most responsive, but again, you know, I know I keep repeating myself for this, but this is an alpha, so they obviously have some more work to do. And hopefully once it's funded, they'll add more to the game and improve it thusly. And yeah, you pretty much just have to get down here, and you can pretty much just jump up to keep moving on. And what you're supposed to do is, I would imagine, is get over to this thing from those logs into... Oops, I actually accidentally fell down trying to demonstrate that, but whatever. Let's just keep going up and over, and there's this guy over here who will start throwing these meteorites, I don't know, or rocks, whatever. So we just get him to throw him at these boxes and get across these gaps. And actually, if you fall down those gaps, you can actually sort of fall through the level, in a sense, like if you fall down those gaps and then go right, or whatever. And we have these giant crabs. They don't have a weak spot that we can't destroy them with, so we just have to time ourselves and move past them with that. But yeah, once we get past that, we get to the boss, which is this shark. And yeah, he's a pretty simple boss. All you have to do is just attack him when he tries to bite you. And super attacks obviously do a lot of damage to him. Okay, there we go. Yeah, the hit detection here can be a little suspect, but as long as you're close enough, you can still hit him. And I'm actually going to hold off trying to finish him off to show off another attack that he does when he's like getting close to dying anyway. If he'll do it. There he goes. He shoots little like sharks at you, which is kind of funny. Okay, come on. Okay, I can't quite see where I am, but whatever. I'll just keep attacking until he dies. There we go. Oh, oops. The camera sort of zoomed in for like a cutscene type thing, and I accidentally moved and died. Yeah, that's one thing you need to address. So there we go. This time we won't move. Not sure why the game needs to zoom in like that, but whatever. keep saying whatever a lot, aren't I? Whatever. So yeah, that does it for that area, and I wonder what the next version of Amy is going to be. Unfortunately, that we won't find out until, I guess, the full game. But there is concept art for it, I'll just say that.
Go home and get some rest. I'll call you before we start the first session tomorrow.
Will she be alright?
You'll know more tomorrow.
I love you, Amy. Please, be strong.
How naive of me. I guess I did underestimate this one. Monsters, minions, creatures? Oh, now this on the other hand.
Yeah, the plot thickens. And that's about it for this alpha demo. Yeah, I actually do kind of like it. I like the idea behind it, and I think it's interesting enough to warrant, like, getting it funded and stuff like that. And and the game sort of crashes instead of, like, quitting or going back to the menu or anything like that. But anyway, I'll link the Kickstarter in the description. I've actually already contributed to it. I just contributed $5 because I'm not exactly, made of money or anything. But I still at least got a free digital copy when it'll be released. So there's that. And so that's it for Waking Amy. Hope you thought this was interesting enough to go check out their Kickstarter, and I'll see you later.